Welcome to Medicines Plus. In this video, we'll look at an interesting medical case of a patient with undiagnosed facial rash. A 57-year-old woman presented to the dermatology clinic for evaluation of a facial rash that had been present for 1 year. Now, the rash persisted despite a recent 2-month trial of 60 mg of prednisone and 200 mg of hydroxychloroquine daily, which was prescribed for presumed SLE, that is systemic lupus erythematosus. The patient reported a 2-week history of productive cough and a worsening shortness of breath despite the completion of a course of levofloxacin. She also had a 42-year history of cigarette smoking. Given her progressive respiratory symptoms, she was referred to the emergency department. Now, examination of the skin revealed scalp erythema, prominent periorbital erythema and edema, midfacial erythema involving the nasolabial folds as shown by the white arrow in this picture. Other findings were V-shaped erythema on the upper chest shown by the arrow, and also it was found on the back. Pink erythema with psoriasiform scales were found on both elbows shown by the white arrow. Pink macular erythema with a few thin, flat top papules on the dorsal finger and hands shown by the blue arrow. Periungual erythema, dilated nail fold capillary loops, and cuticular dystrophy was seen, which is shown by the black arrow. The examination also revealed poikiloderma on the lateral thighs. Now, the detailed history of this patient was taken. She had medical history of hypothyroidism and anxiety, and she was on medication for the same, including levothyroxine 75 microgram daily, paroxetine 20 mg daily, clonazepam 0.5 mg as needed, prednisone 60 mg daily, hydroxychloroquine 200 mg daily. There was no history of allergies. Family history revealed that her father and mother had rheumatoid arthritis and aunt was diagnosed with SLE. On physical examination of the patient, temperature was found to be normal with tachycardia, that is heart rate of 124 beats per minute, elevated blood pressure, that is 150 by 86 mm of Hg, respiratory rate was 18 breaths per minute, while the oxygen saturation was 94% while breathing the ambient air. The patient was well nourished but appeared to be fatigued. On ENT examination, pupils appeared equal in diameter, round, and reactive to light. Mucous membrane were moist, with no oral ulcer and no cervical lymphadenopathy. On systemic examination, lungs were clear to auscultation with no wheezing, rales or rhonchi. Patient has tachycardia, but there was no irregularity in the rhythm. S1 and S2 sounds were normal. No murmur, rubs or gallops were heard. Abdominal examination revealed soft, non-tender, non-distended and no appreciable hepatosplenomegaly. There was no edema in the legs or ankle. 2+ radial and dorsalis pedis pulses were seen. No joint tenderness, swelling or erythema, and no cyanosis or clubbing was observed. On nervous system examination, cranial nerves were found intact. Strength in both arms and legs was 5/5, distally as well as proximally. Now, the next step is to arrive at the differential diagnosis for this patient. So let us look at 4 different scenarios of patients with facial rashes, characteristics of rosacea, seborrheic dermatitis, dermatomyositis or SLE. These conditions can be mistaken with one another, but obtaining a patient history and conducting a careful examination of the morphological features of the rash can allow for determination of the likely cause. On the basis of the symptoms and morphological features of each of the facial rashes in this case that follows, will determine the most likely diagnosis of our case. Now, the first case is of a 35-year-old woman who presented with bumps on her face and mid-facial redness that worsens after alcohol consumption. So what is the most likely diagnosis of this case? Now, our options are rosacea, seborrheic dermatitis, dermatomyositis or SLE. Now the correct answer is rosacea. It is an inflammatory disorder that is most commonly seen in women with between the age of 30 to 50 years, characterized by centrofacial flushing, erythema, and telangiectasis. Papulopustular variant, as seen in this patient, is characterized by centrofacial erythema with papules and pustules, while the phymatous rosacea results from a sebaceous gland hypertrophy and is most commonly manifested as rhinophyma, which is a bullous deformity of the nose. The second case is of a 20-year-old woman presents with a joint pain, oral ulcer, and a rash on the cheeks that worsens with exposure to the sun. So what is the most likely diagnosis in this case? Again, our options are rosacea, seborrheic dermatitis, dermatomyositis, and SLE. Now the correct answer here is SLE. SLE is an autoimmune disease that can affect the skin, oral and nasal mucosa, joints, kidney, nervous system, and serous membrane. The most distinctive feature of acute cutaneous lupus erythematosus is the malar rash, which is characterized by erythema over the cheeks and nasal bridge. It is noteworthy that the malar rash of the lupus generally spares the nasolabial folds, unlike the dermatomyositis. And acute cutaneous lupus erythematosus indicates an active SLE. Now the next case is of a 56-year-old man who presented with a scaly rash on his face. He also has a flaky scalp. Again, we have 4 options for this case, and the correct answer here is seborrheic dermatitis. The cause of seborrheic dermatitis remains uncertain, but excessive growth of the fungi of the genus Malassezia on the skin and alterations in the composition of the skin lipids appear to play a role. Now, this condition generally affects the areas rich in sebaceous gland, which includes the scalp, eyebrows, glabella, nasolabial folds, retroauricular region, and in the adults the mid-chest. Lesions are usually pink to red in color and have a greasy yellow scale. The last case is of a 53-year-old woman who presents with muscle weakness and redness around her eyes and on her cheeks. Again, we have the same 4 options. The correct answer here is dermatomyositis. Dermatomyositis is an autoimmune disease that typically occurs in women between 40 and 60 years of age and in children between the 5 and 15 years of age. The condition is characterized by symmetric proximal weakness and cutaneous findings. Skin involvement includes the pathognomic catron papules, that is lichenoid papules on the dorsal metacarpophalangeal and interphalangeal joints, heliotropic eruptions, that is pink to violaceous periorbital patches, occasionally associated with edema, midfacial eruptions, that is pink to violaceous patch over the cheek, nasal bridge and nasolabial fold, V sign, that is erythema or poikiloderma over the upper chest, shawl sign seen over the upper back, Holster sign, that is poikiloderma over the lateral thighs. Patient also have periungual erythema, dilated capillary loops over the proximal nail folds and cuticular damage. Coming back to our case, let us look at the lab investigations. The lab investigation revealed raised WBC counts and neutrophilic counts with low lymphocyte and monocytes. Blood glucose was also raised. Other lab parameters were normal. Now let us exclude the differential diagnosis options based on the medical history, physical and skin examination. So we can exclude rosacea, seborrheic dermatitis, and SLE. Thus, the correct answer here is dermatomyositis. The patient has classical cutaneous manifestation of dermatomyositis, including the scalp erythema, heliotropic eruptions, midfacial erythema involving the nasolabial folds. The patient exhibited classical signs of dermatomyositis, that is the V sign, Holster sign, Gottron papules, Gottron sign, that is the erythema on the dorsal metacarpophalangeal and interphalangeal joints, and also nail fold involvement. Because there is no clinical weakness or elevation in the levels of muscle enzyme that would indicate active myositis, the patient presentation is most consistent with amyopathic dermatomyositis. The detection of clinical weakness accompanied by elevated muscle enzyme levels or abnormalities in the result of the other test of muscle function would have suggested classical dermatomyositis. Now let us look at the radiological investigations. So the CT scan of the chest revealed enlarged right paratracheal lymph nodes indicated by the orange arrow, ground glass opacities in the right lower lobe indicated by the red arrow, and a nodule measuring 1.3 cm by 1 cm in the perihilar right lower lobe indicated by the blue arrow. The FDG PET CT showed uptake of FDG in the right paratracheal and hilar lymph nodes and in the nodules in the right lower lobe. Moving on to the management of this case. Which of the following strategies represent a preferred next step in managing the care of this patient? So let us review each strategy. The first strategy, performing a punch biopsy of the skin. Well, the decision to perform a punch biopsy of the skin is generally not preferred. Dermatomyositis is primarily a clinical diagnosis because the histopathological findings in this patient are identical to those in a patient with lupus erythematosus. The clinical presentation should guide the diagnosis. Histopathological assessment of the skin can be helpful in distinguishing the dermatomyositis from other cutaneous conditions such as psoriasis. Next strategy is to perform a core biopsy of the nodule in the lower lobe of the right lung. Well, this is also not a preferred option. A core biopsy allows for evaluation of the tissue architecture and cell morphology. However, biopsy of the lung nodule will not allow for evaluation of the lymph nodes, which is a crucial step in determining the stage of the patient's probable lung cancer. The next strategy is to perform a core biopsy of the paratracheal lymph node. Now, this is a preferred option in this case. A core biopsy of the paratracheal lymph nodes was done and it revealed small cell lung cancer. A core biopsy allows for evaluation of the tissue architecture and cell morphology. Since cancer is suspected and imaging revealed both a lung nodule and a regional lymphadenopathy, a core biopsy of the regional lymph node allows the simultaneous diagnosis of the primary cancer and staging of the disease as well. Now, endobronchial ultrasound guided biopsy was performed and a lymph node specimen was obtained. Metastatic small cell carcinoma was detected in this patient. The patient received a diagnosis of amyopathic dermatomyositis associated with small cell lung cancer and post-obstructive pneumonia. Now let us look at the patient outcome. Intravenous immunoglobulin was initiated and there was substantial improvement in the cutaneous finding. The patient had a complete response to the cisplatin, etoposide and radiation which were provided for the treatment of small cell lung cancer. However, the cancer recurred in the brain and liver, and 7 months after the diagnosis, she was ultimately transitioned to hospice care and later died from the cancer. That was all from this case, which helped us learn about the differential diagnosis of a red face, that is rosacea, seborrheic dermatitis, SLE, and dermatomyositis. We looked at cutaneous findings of dermatomyositis, including the heliotrope eruptions, midfacial erythema involving the nasolabial folds, Cotran papules, Cotran sign, Scholl sign, V sign, and Holster sign. Thank you for watching the video. Do subscribe to my YouTube channel Medicines Plus for more interesting medical cases.